Welcome to the Superhero Sidekick Leadership Coaching Podcast with Joel Smith and Joe Baker. We're here to help you develop your superpowers. This is the Superhero Sidekick Coaching Podcast. I'm Joel Smith.
I'm Joe Baker. We're not here to be the superhero. We just want to be your sidekick and help you along in building your business, building your not-for-profit. Let's help you grow it fast and really scale.
Be sure to check us out on Facebook and visit us at superherosidekick.com. This is the Superhero Sidekick Coaching Podcast. I'm Joel Smith. Joe Baker is not in the house today. He's climbing a mountain, hanging out with his son, being a good dad. So that's what we like about Joe. Joe is a serious family man, and he loves his kids. He loves his wife, and he does not compromise his family with his business or anything else. He's a true guy that way. I have on the virtual studio here, Greg Gable. I think Greg is also a family man because he's got a really big one. He's got 9 children. So, Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Joel. Thank you for having me on today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we are talking about communication that your staff needs to hear from you. And particularly today, we're talking about relational and some of the soft skills. And so if you have not listened to the first episode on communication, we talked about productivity. So we talked about communicating vision and benchmarks. And we talked about plan of action and process and procedures and communicating results and progress. So check that out if you have not listened to it, but you don't have to listen to them in this order. But once you're done with this, go back and listen to that one too, because it's really good. So, but we are really particularly talking about the soft skills today, as opposed to productivity, like we talked about in the last episode. So Greg, what would you say soft skills are? Where did that term come from?
You know, I don't know where it came from, but it's one that I don't like to use, because to me, when you hear soft skills, it's like, it's not really that important. And this is dealing with people. This is dealing, the skills of really developing and leading and taking care of people. And when you look at businesses, these are not soft, these are essential. That's why I call them essential skills.
There you go.
I mean, I'm not going to pick a fight over this, but it's like,
no, we're going to rename this. And so if you look down below in the show notes, you're going to see essential skills, and you might see soft crossed out as well. So no, I like that, Greg. That's great. All right. So let's get into this. So number one, let's talk about the number one essential skill, and that is communicating individual roles and expectations clearly. We did touch on this briefly in the first episode. We talked about how people will leave organizations because they don't know what's expected of them. And so with this, when we're communicating individual roles and expectations, it's really, really important, because people need to know what is expected of them, because they don't really want to let you down. They want to do a good job. Generally speaking, people come to work, and when they start a job, they're excited about it. They want to be part of something big. They want to be part of a group that's doing something great. But what they don't know initially is, what's my part? How do I contribute to this? And when am I just getting in the way? And can somebody explain that to me so that I know the rules and the guardrails that I need to follow? And sometimes if we don't explain those and really help through a really good orientation process of bringing them in and helping them be introduced to the business and to the right people, and then have the policies and the what they can expect as far as how the business runs, that they're going to struggle a bit. So,
yeah, I remember reading a book that I thought really brought this home about connecting individual roles, responsibilities, and expectations with the overall vision. And it was a CEO that came in to take over a biohealth engineering, and they made like some sort of device for to go into heart valve replacement, something like that. And what he did is he started to have a picnic in the summer where they would bring people who had been treated with this particular product that this company made, and they would tell about how it saved their lives, improved their lives. And so they have these patient live testimony that the employees could see. And it boiled all the way down to the guys who were sweeping out the warehouse when his kids would say, "Hey, Dad, what do you do for a living?" It was, "I help save lives." Everything was geared towards that. And so the individual roles is like, it's not that you are isolated in a certain cubicle area of the business or the office or whatever. It's like the overall thing is that your individual contribution here is really helping us to attain to this overarching vision. You are part of it, and this is what you do.
Yeah.
People want to be part of something bigger than themselves.
Yeah. And you know, Greg, I find that in this day and age, the millennials get a pretty bad rap sometimes. But what I find is that the millennials are great at this.
Yes.
They want to be part of something big and better, and they're not afraid to express that, and they get something out of that I think maybe our generation maybe missed a little bit, but they really get engaged in something. And so there's an element of compassion that is there that that really goes a long ways. So
yeah, I think that, and I work with millennials, and I hear a lot of, they get a bad rap. Some of it is justified, but I also think that have you communicated something to your team that they can aspire to?
Right.
And I think that with a lack of communication, some of those, let's say, millennial characteristics really start to flourish.
Yep.
But if you are able to communicate clearly with a vision and a mission, how they fit and how you need someone with their skills and abilities and their contribution, they really start to get engaged, and they can become magnificent teammates.
Yep, that's right. That's right. All right, number 2, essential skills. Communicating appreciation and encouragement. I think this is really important. And Greg, I think this is probably, out of all of these, this is probably the one that as leaders we lack the most. 64%, I saw, some statistics, but 64% of all employees feel like they're not appreciated. And over 70% said that they would take another position if it was offered to them, easily enough. And so, appreciation and encouragement is really important. And I've read a book, and this book talks about 5 different languages of appreciation. And now everybody has a different language. And I just want to run through these real quick. But some people are really motivated by words of affirmation, being affirmed, and other people, acts of service. So when you do something for them, they're really motivated by that. Or receiving gifts, just doing a nice little thing of giving a gift. And with people like that, it doesn't have to be expensive. It just needs to be something, and they appreciate that. Yeah. Other people, it's just quality time. Other people would say, well, don't buy me a gift. I don't care about that. You don't have to give me compliments, and they just spend some time with me. Right. And then the last is the physical touch. So some people like, especially in the families, of course, hugs can be big. In the workplace, maybe not hugs, but maybe a firm handshake, maybe a tap on the shoulder, maybe a high five, whatever it is, but people appreciate that. So appreciation and encouragement. So Greg, what do you think about encouragement? What's some of the ways you've gone about just encouraging people?
One of the things we had it just this morning in our morning huddle, we do something where we call them helmet stickers. I know it's a football metaphor, but it's a great lesson in life. When you do something above and beyond towards what we're about, our vision and what we want to be about. If there's an act that somebody did, somebody else amongst the team says, hey, I got a helmet sticker for one of my teammates, and they say what it is. And, it's one thing if, I, as the owner, the boss, the leader, if I could do it like privately, you did a great job, I saw you do this. Okay. It's another thing if I do it in public. That's even more value. When a teammate calls out another teammate and says something encouragement, you've hit it. And that means so much to the other people. And people clap for it. It's like, yes, it does so much for the individual that received it. The other thing is that it continues to promote, this is what we're about. See, here are some examples They're not numbers. You know, these are examples of how someone on our team did something above and beyond that was really, you know, incredible for the patient, the parent, the kid, whatever it is, and it just reinforces it. But the person that did it, I mean, man, I had a teammate call me out in front of everybody, made it public, made it great. There's encouragement to do that again. Find
Oh,
somebody doing what's right, let them know, and they're more likely to do it again.
well, and the way that that can just lift somebody up, it can lift
Oh,
somebody up and make their day. It can make their week. It can remove some doubts that might have been in their head that's been dragging them down a little bit, and then they get
mhm.
some affirmation that wow, okay, somebody appreciates me, and then you know, other people appreciate me too because apparently I did a good thing. And
Yes.
it really does provide, you know, a lift under your wings to be able to help people really thrive.
Yeah, and the other thing that I see is that the person giving the helmet sticker, okay, when I listen to it, it's like it's like, you know what? They get the vision, they get the mission, they know it, they get it,
Hmm.
you know, because what they called out and saw and observed and wanted to make noticed, they get it, which is good, because then I know that that's affirmation for me that I'm communicating clearly what we need to be about.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. When you talk about helmet stickers, I think of you know, Michigan or Ohio State football helmets. I love.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Those Buckeyes, and they all got them on one side so the camera always sees it, you know?
Yeah,
Yes.
you can always tell who the seniors are. That's got a whole
Oh,
boatload of them
yes.
all over. Yeah, no
Oh,
doubt.
yeah. And I knew in my playing days, if I'm playing against someone, they've only got 2 helmet stickers, it's going to be a good game. If they've got a helmet full, I knew that my hands were full. The next
Yeah,
60 minutes were going to be really hard.
no doubt, no doubt. All right. So number 3 on the essential skills, communicating truth with professionalism and integrity. Now, I think this is important, and I think sometimes in the workplace this can be forgotten. But as a leader, we really set the pace for this. You know, the way that we carry ourselves, the way that we're professional or not professional, is really setting a standard and setting the bar for everybody else. And what it means to you know, to communicate truth with professionalism and integrity. It doesn't mean being a stick in the mud and being strict. That's not what it means. It means that we move with professionalism in the way that we talk with each other. It means we speak to each other with grace, not criticism. It means that we smile and that we dress well, and we're very conscientious of other people. And really that's a lot about professional. But then also we're kind of above reproach, that we're not speaking, you know, words and language that's maybe inappropriate or that type of thing. And so that's really important, because your culture in your business is the one thing that oftentimes it's the hardest to change, but it's the quickest thing to deteriorate and can cause you know, the downfall of your business.
This comes back to lead by example. You know, if you want to encourage someone in doing something right, it's also something that the team sees you as a business owner or leader. They see you doing at times, that you're consistent. You know, integrity means wholeness, that it's the same on the outside as what you see on the inside. And that is so true. When you want to create a culture, that the culture is like, look, we've got these objective or core convictions that we want to be throughout the entire office, the entire business, that this section of the business, these core convictions matter. The other side of the business, the front desk, this part of marketing or whatever, we do this, and it's what you also see in me as an owner. Not perfect, okay, because that's unattainable, but it's like I see consistency, and you then expect a certain level of consistency, not perfection, but this is where we're headed. I want to see us making progress towards that.
Yeah, and keep in mind, you know, when we're part of a team, you know, that logo that's on our shirt, that's a brand, and one of our most important jobs is to protect that brand. We need to protect that brand at all costs, not kind of just exercise our freedom to kind of just be who we are and let ourselves just all hang out at the expense of maybe the brand or other people. we need to really kind of keep ourselves contained in a way that that our behavior is limited in a way that we do protect the brand, and we protect the people around us. So complete freedom to just live out your personality isn't the best thing in the business place, but yet oftentimes people like to kind of exercise those rights.
That's right. You're here to let good things run wild. You're here exactly. It's this is not a place for you to self-expression you over all others. You're here for a reason. You're here to help us accomplish something. Bring your best and bring your talents, gifts, and abilities to help us with this.
Yeah.
It's not about you, and it's about us. And it's like, this is where us is going.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
All right, moving on. Talked about some great things. We're going to move on. Communicating areas of concern, corrective action, and care versus candor. As we said previously, we're not perfect. There was only one who's perfect, and we still killed him on a cross. So we can't expect perfection. People want correction, okay? But the idea is that this is the problem that arose, or this was the mistake, this is the issue. You stick to the issue. You don't attack the person, okay? The issue first is like, and this is what we do, to correct it, to, care and candor. The equivalent is truth and love. Truth without love, candor without care is harsh. Care without candor, love without truth can just be wishy-washy, and we don't want either. However, there's a measure in there. If this is the first time, let's have some truth with some empathy. If it's like this is the third time, we need a little bit more truth than love, a little bit more candor than care. But the thing is that we're always looking to get people back in with the vision, back in the lane where we are most effective. And you have to keep your eye out to see little minor corrections rather than major turnarounds.
Right. Yeah, I like that. And the truth is so often people don't necessarily measure up to what's expected, and we don't really know why until we dig into it. We can't always see that, and we need to remember that as leaders, our goal isn't to just change behaviors. Our goal is also to change people so that they can change their own behaviors.
Yes.
In other words, I'll tell my managers, your job isn't to get people to do things. Your job is to get people to want to do things. And when we go about this with a certain amount of care, meaning we're interested in their best interest, and we're not just focusing on how their actions are affecting the business or the customers or their fellow, but we're interested in them and their best interest. But then there's a certain amount of candor as well, or truth, that's saying, you know what, where you're at now, we can't stay there. We got to do that. So let's figure out how we can get you back up to where you need to be.
Yes.
So yeah, it's got to be about the other person.
One of the things that I remember with a couple of my close friends that wrestled here at the University of Iowa under the great coach Dan Gable, and I had asked them, I said, what made him such a great coach? And they said one of the things that really set him apart was that he was watching his team as they would practice, and they wouldn't say anything, and then all of a sudden he would come up and just say, "Oh, here, correct this one little thing," and then jump back out. They knew he was always making these little tweaks of correction. He would very rarely say anything of encouragement, but they knew that he wanted their best interest to make them a national champion, and they received those corrections because they knew that he very deeply cared for them. And so these little tweaks, he was observing, he was involved. And then when these little observational tweaks came, they didn't take it as like, a slap upside the head, or it's like, oh my gosh, I'm failing him. It's like, no, they looked forward to these little corrections because they knew the result was that they were going to get better. It's when we wait until something gets so big, because it's like we were cowards and we didn't want to address it, because who loves conflict? Most of us don't, until we realize, keep it small, keep it frequent, and people are going to really appreciate it. It's not a big emotional thing.
Yeah, and you talk about Dan Gable. Of course, he was a great example of leadership, but he's also a great example of meeting people where they are and knowing what these people need to hear in order to be great. And the truth is that Dan Gable would probably be horrible if he worked in my business as my area director in the restaurant industry. He would probably be horrible if he was your office manager, because that's not his target. His target are athletes, people that have a certain amount of self-discipline to begin with and a drive to really accomplish something great. And he knows how to tap into that and get that into it. And some people love to be challenged and to be driven to be better. And that's his area of expertise. Doesn't mean that every profession is going to be like that, but he figured it out for his job.
Exactly. And it wasn't that he had this like program. It's like, this is where all of us, this is what you all need. And just, stick with this plan. It was like, first of all, we're going to work harder than any team. You're going to be in the greatest shape of your life. And for you, this is exactly what you need to become a national champion. This is what you need. And this is what you need. And and it was all different, customized for that particular athlete. He was gifted in that. Even the guys who weren't on their starting 10, this is what you need next year to become great. He was tremendous in these individualized plans, knowing what they needed. He off the charts on that. And that's what made him in his area a great coach and a great leader. All right, next, moving towards communicating with great questions and curiosity. This is right in the coach's lane. Right here, because as I'm coaching others, department leaders and doctors, I say, here's where we start. We start with training. People are coming in, we got to train them to get them to be able to do training. Then moves to mentoring, doing it with them, a little bit more personal, and it moves into coaching, where they got some good skills, they got some experience, they understand, they got some more responsibilities. And instead of always telling them what to do, you start drawing things out by asking those great questions. Like when we talked about metrics, it's like, what do you think has led to these numbers being where they are? Not asking, well, why? Because they go, I don't know. It's like, what led to this? And it starts drawing them out. And, or if they have a problem, it's like, all right, well, asking great questions to find out, how would you solve that? Have you ever had a problem like this in the past with a coworker, an employee, a problem, an issue? How did that work out? How did you handle it? What are your options? Give me 2 options that you're thinking. What happens if you do this? What happens if you don't do anything? And all of a sudden you are really developing someone and they appreciate it. So, and with curiosity, tell me how things are going. How would you make it better? What would you do to improve things? One of my favorites is like, what does everyone know that I'm missing?
Right. Yeah.
And they have the freedom to say, Greg, to be honest, here it is. It's like, thank you, because they know if I tell Greg something that we know that he doesn't, things are going to get better. So yeah, questions with curiosity. You can't do that with your new hires all the time. They need the direction. This is what's expected. And then as they move, this is how you develop people. They get more involved. That's why it's not, oh, this is a soft skill. No, this is essential skill for developing people. And this is really what takes you to the next level.
Yeah. I like that question of what do you think? Apart from maybe hearing your own name, that's probably what people want to,
yes,
perks their ears more than anything. Like, hey, what do you think? And sometimes when people come from maybe a boss model where it's a high authority model, and the people at the top make all the decisions and the people below just have to bring their questions to the top council, and the top council tells them what to do and moves on. And there's very little empowerment to those people. They love that. They like, wait a minute, you care what I think? And well, yeah, I do care because you're on the front line. You know more about this than me. And, we could talk forever about empowerment
Yeah.
and,
I think one of the things I know in my industry, it is totally true. And probably I think in many businesses, it's like, what really differentiates you from like other restaurants, other dental offices, other business, whatever it is, because we all have access to the same similar technology, training, machinery, product, whatever it is, it's people.
Mhm.
You go into a restaurant, it's like when you are served well, it's like, this was a great experience. Why? The food was good, but the people were exceptional. You go to a dental office, things were great, but the people were exceptional. That's what differentiates. And they don't get there on their own. Someone is helping to develop them to get there.
Yeah.
And that's what leaders do.
Yeah.
That's
no
why
doubt.
this is not just a soft skill. It's essential to differentiate your business. And so, getting to the next level, that's over. All right. Growing your business deep and wide and impactful. That's probably a better term.
Yep.
All right. The last thing as we're landing the plane, communicating now with grace and empathy. Okay. Leadership is a heart issue. You lead with your heart. When you make decisions, when you communicate, when you convey vision, these are all things that come from the inside out. They communicate your inner man, your inner nature, your inner health, whatever it is, however you want to talk about it. But the need to communicate with grace and empathy. If you're harsh, that's going to be the standard. If you're communicating with grace and let people know, you know what? I spoke with someone here the other day. She's outstanding at what she does. A patient was left sitting for about 10 or 15 minutes waiting for their appointment because she was in the back doing something to help someone out, and she came up and it's like she felt so bad. And I just told her, I said, look, how many times has this happened in your employment here? She goes, I think this is the first time. Right. Are you ever going to do this again? She goes, absolutely not. Totally forget. You're really good at what you do,
Yeah.
and she was an adult. She learned the lesson.
Right.
And instead of just saying, I'm going to make an example out of you, it's like, no, I'm going to make an example out of us. Grace, empathy, forget now what happened. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Concentrate on the solutions and the future and how to improve and not dwell on blame and all that.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
People love the second opportunity. As now as a boss or a leader, one who's responsible, if it's like, you're not learning this, and we have been gracious, we have had correction, training, whatever it is, it's either that, the unfortunate thing, it's either you can't do this task or you don't want to do this task. And either whatever it is, it's time to end our business relationship. You are not family.
Yeah, we can't make everybody receive the grace and empathy with responsibility, but we can give this out as the first measure always. And the good people, the responsible people will appreciate it, and it will motivate them. I just had a situation in my company too, just last week, where a manager made a mistake with some money security, and ended up somebody stole some money, and first thing she said was, I'm so sorry. And I think maybe she expected me to maybe reprimand her, and I said, okay, how can we solve the problem? Didn't dwell on it all. The only thing I asked her was, and this was like at the end of the conversation, so what did you learn? And she said, well, and then she told me, I said, okay, done deal.
Yeah, that goes back to, asking great questions with curiosity. I mean, that's how adults learn the best.
Right.
And, when a mistake or something has happened, something wrong, you don't say, that's okay, don't just forget about it. No, it's like, do you understand what happened? Yeah. What'd you learn? And what would you do different? And, those who are teachable, it's like, oh, I'm going to do this. I should have done that. And it's like, yeah, they have learned the lesson. Yeah. And when you got good people, it's like, all right, now we can move on.
Yeah, we don't need to keep kicking the goat,
No.
right?
Yeah, what are we going to do now? Move it, forgetting what lies in the past. Let's move forward because
Yep.
we're on a mission. And they're like, oh my gosh, I just love working here,
Well, the
So
worst place to work is the place where everybody's afraid to make mistakes.
absolutely.
It's a stressful environment. It's a tense. It usually has chaos, and it usually has a lot of passive aggressiveness and just division all over the place. And so if we can't give grace and empathy to our people, and really grace and empathy is not something you can fake. You can try to fake it, but it doesn't last very long. People will see through it. And if you truly don't care about your people, it's going to show. It's going to show. You just can't fake it.
You can't. What's inside is going to come out.
Yep. Out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're not one who's gracious, people know. They know when you're BSing them. They can tell.
And that's the difference too, Greg, between management training and leadership training too. Leadership is helping people to grow from the inside out, to change how they think and how they feel and what's most important to them. And when you do that, that's when you start to develop. And great leaders are people that care greatly about their people. Always.
Yeah. When you ask great questions like we've talked about, they now have to dig inside. And they're the only ones who can make that change.
Yep. No
but
doubt.
When they go inside and they have to take a walk around and they just kind of go, either something's going well or something needs to be changed. It's like, that's a you thing. But as far as here's where we're going, and we'd love to have you with us. Excellent.
All right, guys, we are about out of time here, but we really appreciate you all listening here. Greg and I and Joe are coaches, and so we would love to hear from you if you're interested in any in us helping you with your business. Greg, how would they get a hold of you?
Yes, they can reach me at my website, www.thekalosbusinessgroup.com. That's Kalos spelled Kalos, thekalosbusinessgroup.com.
All right, you can access superherosidekick.com and learn more about Joe and his services with marketing and fundraising. For sure, he would love to help coach your company or your organization. For leadership and empowerment coaching, please get a hold of me. You can reach me at joelsmithcoach.com. Please subscribe to this podcast, give us some feedback and some comments, and go out to our Facebook page too, superherosidekick.com, and join the group. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate your time, and we will see you on the next episode.